Hey, beautiful souls, and welcome back to my channel. I'm your host today, Brooke, and happy Aries full moon. How are you guys feeling? Are you feeling okay? The energy's been pretty intense. I received a message from a beautiful divine feminine, and she said, Boy, you're absolutely correct about the energy. Emotions being extremely heightened. So, how are you feeling? Are you doing okay? Um, this will probably be one of the most intense full moon lunation cycles that we've had in just a little bit, okay? And going through all the astrology for the next 2 weeks and making my notes, getting everything ready to share with you guys. It's going to be an intense couple of weeks. We're going to have a full moon cycle that is going to be ruled by Mars. And so we all know Mars is the god of war. So it's going to be a pretty intense time. However, have faith, okay? We do have to go through these times. We do have to go through this energy in order for us to be able to navigate what's working and what's not working for humanity. So let's dive into Aries, shall we? So Aries is the first zodiac sign. It is cardinal energy. It initiates change. It initiates action. Aries is the baby of the zodiac. And Aries rules the head. So, with this being a Mars full moon, it is going to be a lot about, okay, what needs to be changed? What can I take action on? What do I need to truly be honest with myself? So, Aries is all about the self, the individual self, right? Because it is I am. So, what is working for you? What's not working for you? What are you doing that's possibly hindering your growth? What are you doing that's actually supporting your growth? With this being a full moon cycle, it's all about releasing. It's all about letting go. It's all about taking action and letting go of the things necessary in order for you to go in the direction that you're meant to go in. Now, I have to be mindful because I am an eighth house sun and moon. I can make changes a little too soon. So I have to kind of slow down before I'm like, okay, this is truly not working. I just don't give things truly long enough before I start making changes. I am all about let's change it up, let's mutate, let's do something different, right? So I have to be real mindful of that. However, this is a great time to truly take an honest look about your the way you are, the way you operate, the things that you take action on or don't take action on. Are you working and living fully in integrity? Because we got Saturn in Pisces, truly testing that integrity. Are you living in integrity? Are you being who you say you are? You know, one great thing about Aries is Aries does not wear any mask. So we're really being pushed to step into our true, authentic self. Aries is very quick to be like, I don't think so. Okay. Mm-mm. Aries is very quick to take action, very quick to get up, very quick to do everything like go, 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 go. Now, when I first started studying astrology, I dated a couple of Aries and I discovered real quick that I didn't really care for dating Aries because they like to run in front of me when we were walking somewhere. Like I felt it was so disrespectful. And then I started noticing that every Aries did it. And that's just Aries energy, okay? Aries energy is get up and go, get to moving. Let's get it started. Let's take action, okay? And that's a great thing. But Aries energy can also be very combative. It is the warrior. We're going to have some emphasis and a lot of aspects with Chiron in this full moon lunation cycle. So there's going to be a lot of wounds coming up to the surface to be examined. So you really want to be taking a full, honest look at you, the role that you play in your own story. Are you being who you say you are? Are you living in integrity? And what truly needs to be changed? What do you truly need to let go of? Okay. Um, Without further ado, let's dive into the chart, shall we? So this Aries full moon is going to be taking place on October 6th at 23:47, and it's going to be at 14 degrees of Aries. And as you can see, the sun's going to be in Libra at 14 degrees. And not long after we have this full moon, we're going to have the moon join Eris and Chiron. So we're going to have a lot of aspects with Chiron, with Eris, with the sun, with Jupiter over the next 2 weeks. So we're still going to be feeling a lot of this Martin energy, okay? Still going to be feeling a lot of it. So the great aspects of Aries is initiating change, initiating action, really moving forward, okay? Aries can also be all about self because it does represent I am. So, are you being too much about yourself? Are you too focused on your own needs? Are you living a balanced life within your relationships? Because you want to make sure that you keep that balanced, right? It can't always be about oneself. I mean, Aries doesn't mind being alone. Aries is quite okay being solo. However, you still want to be able to have a collective group of people, friends, relationships that you can lean into. So, are you surrounding yourself around like-minded people in order to have balanced relationships? Are you leaning too much into your own needs, wants, desires versus being balanced in every relationship, right? Because the biggest thing that I will tell you that I've learned over the years, if one person wins, everybody loses. So we have to be able to compromise. We have to be able to have balance. We have to be able to have balanced relationships. But within those balanced relationships, we also have to have common ground, common um, likes, dislikes, ideas. And it's not all about bulldozing and getting everybody to be on your side. It's truly about finding that common ground with everybody because Libra does want to make everybody happy. Libra does want to have balanced relationships, balanced conversations. Is this truly fair for everybody? Is this just for everybody? So in this Aries full moon lunation cycle, we're really having to take a look at the self and say, okay, am I balanced in all areas of my life? Am I balanced in my relationships? Is my emotions staying balanced? Or am I losing my shit over everything? Like, we're going to see people truly become unhinged, okay? Now, this full moon is going to be within a 5-degree orb of that last Aries total solar eclipse that took place on 4/8. So there's still going to be a little bit of that eclipse energy that's going to be removing. It's going to be clipping out things that are not destined, things that are not meant to be on your destined path, things that are just not working, okay? Because we do have Saturn retrograde at 27 degrees of Pisces. So we've got to be able to pass those spiritual tests. We've got to be able to see what's working. We've got to be able to take note of the direction that we need to be going in. Now, I do want to add that 2 weeks after this full moon, we're going to have Mercury station retrograde. Okay, so yes, I'm sorry, start at shadow, not station retrograde. 3 weeks after that, we're going to have Mercury station retrograde. But yes, we're back to another Mercury retrograde season. 1 week after we have this full moon, we're going to have Pluto station direct. Okay, so we have Jupiter that is now at 23 degrees of Cancer. Thank goodness we're out of that 22-degree point. However, we still have the nodes at 18 degrees. And as you all have seen, and as I have showed you guys, those 2 degrees are truly critical degrees when it comes to seeing a lot of shootings, a lot of bombing, a lot of fighting, conflict. They are those infamous kill or be killed degrees, okay? So we now have Jupiter at 23 degrees, thank goodness, okay? However, it's within a 2-degree orb of squaring Chiron and Eris, and Jupiter will square Chiron and Eris exactly as we start moving through this lunation cycle, and we'll get into that in just a little bit. Jupiter is also going to start trining Saturn, and that will become a little bit more exact as well. So I want you guys to keep an eye on your emotions. If you feel yourself giving into the lower vibrational energy of the Aries energy, okay, do whatever you got to do to change it, okay? Because if you carry a lot of collective energy, so say like my Capricorns, my Sag, my Aquarius, my Pisces, you could just be feeling this and transmuting this within the collective, and there not even be a trigger there, okay? Find what works for you in order to alchemize that energy. You potentially are transmuting that energy for the collective. We're also going to have Mercury ingress into 0 degrees of Scorpio. And this is going to take place, I thought I wrote that down. This is going to take place right before the full moon, literally right before the full moon. Now, we're going to have the sun start to square Kronos. And we're also going to have the moon to start to square Kronos too, okay? So there's going to be a lot of karma that's coming up to play. This is why I have prepared people for years that our karma is coming back instantly, and we're literally living in those times to where we're not having to wait lifetime after lifetime after lifetime for karma to come back. So in these squares that we're going to have with Kronos, in the squares that we're going to have with Saturn a little later on, the trines with Saturn, all of that, the squares with Pluto, the squares with Chiron, there's going to be karma being delivered instantly. So that's why I keep reminding you. I know I sound like I am on repeat, but when the message is the same, the message is the same. And I have to say it again in order for it to truly ground in order for everybody to get the message loud and clear. Your reaction to this energy, to people, over the next 2 weeks is laying the foundation for your karma. So again, whatever you gotta do, to ground and transmute, whether it is walking barefoot, whether it is touching a tree, whether it's getting in water, whether it is doing Reiki, doing a healing, doing a sound bath, whatever works for you, please do it. And over the next 2 weeks, keep bringing everything back to self. It's not outside of me, it is in me. How can I navigate during these times and remain balanced, remain in peace, and remain untriggered? Just remember, triggers show us areas that we need to work on. Trigger shows us what we need to look at, right? Because it comes out, like you can't control it. And it's taken me having to be attacked to get to a point that sometimes no response is a response, and not everything deserves a response. And that is no sign of anything other than I'm not going to feed into this energy. I'm not going to continue fighting. I'm not going to prove my point. You either believe in me, you either see me, we're either on the same team or we're not, right? There's no more of this combative energy that I'm going to allow into my aura. So we're going to have opportunities over the next 2 weeks to see, are you truly mastering that? Are you truly diving in and doing the work? This is the time that we're going to be able to see who's truly doing the work and who's been spiritually bypassing. So we're going to have Mercury move into 0 degrees of Scorpio. Now, Mercury and Scorpio can be very hot-headed. Okay, Mercury and Scorpio can be very sharp with the tongue. Mercury and Scorpio can be very, what's the word I'm looking for? Burn you with the tongue. Okay, it's almost like speaking fire. So just be mindful of the things that you're saying. Just be mindful of the spells that you're casting, okay? We can become extremely mentally obsessed with things because Mercury and Scorpio can be very obsessive. Mars and Scorpio can also be very obsessive. And then we have Pluto and Aquarius. Pluto rules that obsessive energy of that need to dig, to find, to have the answers, but it can also be very obsessive with people too, wanting to control, wanting to dominate conversations, wanting to take over. So we want to be very mindful of the things that we're saying and the conversations that we're having. This could be a very combative placement of having to dominate and be the one that always talks, okay? Now, Pluto and Uranus are still in their exact trine, so there is a lot of suppression when it comes to the throat chakra. There is a lot of attacks when it comes to not being able to speak freely, but then there's also a lot of throat injuries that's been taking place as well. You got to think Gemini rules the throat. So speak your truth, own your truth, but do it in a loving way, okay? We don't have to dominate. We don't have to be in control of everything. We don't have to be obsessive. But this right here, Mercury and Scorpio, to me is very obsessive. It can also be very vengeful as well. Okay? So be mindful. What's driving the energy and the emotions that you're feeling? What's driving your need for change? Is it because you want to take vengeance? Is it because you want to hurt people? Or is it because you see that what is going on is no longer serving you? And in order to be a more balanced person in all aspects of your life, you're going to let that go. Okay. Now we're going to have Lilith retrograde back to the 7 degrees of Scorpio. And as I've told you, Lilith and Mars, specifically in Scorpio, Mars is like the higher octave of Lilith. To me, their energy is very similar. Okay. Mars doesn't give a fuck. Mars will burn you right away. Mars will cut your throat. Mars will fight you, right? Specifically when it's in Scorpio. Lilith is very similar. Lilith in Scorpio does not give a fuck. It will burn you, it will fight you. Okay. And then we're going to have Mercury there too. So we got to be mindful of our thoughts. Is this truly rational? Is this truly positive? Is this helping me? And then Mars is going to be at 10 degrees and start working its way into trining Kronos and then trining the North Node. We will have Lilith squaring white moon Selena. So there could be some feminine, dark feminine aspects that's coming up to be balanced. White moon Selena is the white aspect of Lilith. Okay, so this is where you can truly lean into that feminine energy. What's working, what's not working? Are you in too much of that? I don't give a fuck, I'm just going to burn it energy. Or are you leaning too much in the light aspect of, I just, want to shine my light and make everybody happy? There has to be a balance of the energies. Now, we will have Mercury squaring Pluto, okay? So with this square here, being in fixed signs, we could hear a lot come up within the collective. And it could be connected to, gosh, it could be connected to so much. The truth about what's been done in the past, because, Scorpio does rule truth too, okay? Um, and it also rules secrets. So there could be some secrets from the past that has been done to the collective that's brought up to the surface. There could even be some dark truths and some towers that's brought up from the past as well. I'm hoping that we don't hear more about war or even like more loss of life. Okay. But with Mercury squaring Pluto, there will be something released connected to the collective, connected to a tower, could even be connected to death, because Scorpio rules death, Pluto rules death. Pluto is in Aquarius. There have been some things already released as far as this is concerned and how many people it's actually hurt. So, it could be connected to that. This one is going to be pretty hard to pinpoint, but we will hear, there will be conversations with this square with Mercury and Pluto. Be careful when you travel, okay? There's one thing that I've learned: when Mercury's in a hard aspect, there's a lot of accidents, okay? Because Mercury rules our thoughts, it rules our communication, but it also rules our travel and our community, like our childhood community, where we typically mingle with people within our tribes, right? So when you travel, be sure to call in protection just to make sure that everything's going to be okay. All right. Call in protection. Now we're going to have two T squares with this. So we're going to have the moon and the sun with Chronos here, and it's going to be a little bit more exact with Chris. And then we're going to have Jupiter, Zeus, Chiron, and Aries. So we've already started seeing a lot that's being laid, the foundation that's being laid within the justice system, specifically with the Zeus opposing Chiron and Eris. There's been a lot of truth uncovered, specifically with the two governments. The Civil War is even more clear now than it ever has been. And those of you that have followed me for a really, really long time, you know, over the last 4 years, I have said we're not going to civil war. We've been in civil war. Now there is no denying it. Now you can see it clearly. And Zeus is really working to bring all of that darkness to light. And it is opposing Eris and Chiron. So with this Mercury square Pluto, we could hear even more about secrets and things that have been hidden from the collective, from humanity, specifically with this Pluto. Now, you got to think Pluto is stopped, it's not moving because it's getting ready to station direct. And that will happen on 10/13. So, just a little over a week. Just a little over a week after this full moon is when that'll happen. So Pluto's not moving at all. Pluto is more or less pretty much stopped and ready to turn back on. Now we have Venus that is at 21 degrees, and Venus in Virgo has truly been taking note of, you know, her health. What works for me? What doesn't work for me? How's my diet? Do I need to work out more? Am I truly getting everything done that needs to be done? Now, as Venus moves on, she's going to have an opposition with Saturn in Pisces. And this is going to take place a little later. So there's definitely going to be some karma revealed connected to this opposition. Now, Juno is at 1 degrees and is still in that trine with Neptune. The best way to work with this energy, guys, is to keep your focus on yourself, okay? And we're going to have a lot of emphasis on the wounded warrior, the wounded masculine, aka the military, over the next 2 weeks, okay? All right, so for October 7th, this is going to be one of the days. There's going to be several days that things could get pretty intense, and this is going to be one of those days. And the reason why I say that is because we're going to have Venus now officially at 22 degrees of Virgo. So there could be things that come up with your health. There could be some things and some changes within the justice system that's connected to that. You know, when we see this 22 degrees, we see a lot of pew pew with words, but then we also see a lot of pew pew outside of us, specifically with Jupiter being at that 22 degrees over the last couple weeks. But also keep in mind it's squaring Chiron and Eris and Zeus. Now we're going to have Mercury officially in that square with Pluto, okay? So I feel like on this day, we could hear a lot of things that's been hidden within the collective. We could see a lot of fires, a lot of shots fired as far as words, as far as what's happened in the health system. But I also feel, because this was within a 5-degree orb of that opposition with Saturn, like I truly feel like we're going to start hearing more about what's truly been going on with those in control, specifically around the world. Now, the newest thing that has been released is the push for the digital ID. And I'm just going to be real honest with you guys. I am seeing so much resistance all of a sudden as soon as it was announced that I just don't feel worried about it. And when I don't feel worried about something, I kind of relax and not put my energy into it, because I know the more I put my energy into something, the more that it's going to manifest, it's going to come into fruition. Because I do feel that people are truly going to push back. This is not, we are nowhere near the times that we were in 2020 when everybody lined up to do this. So much has been disclosed and released as far as the corruption with those in power. And we're still in Libra season, and we've got even more that's going to be released, okay? Too many people are awake. Truly, too many people are awake. And there's more of us than there is them. Okay. So I'm not stressed about it. I'm not stressed about it. I just don't feel like this is going to be a great big issue. However, you got to have the line drawn somewhere. Me, I won't even do the real ID. I'm definitely not going to do the digital ID, okay? I didn't do this. And anything that is masked for safety, we all know is bullshit. It's all about control. So do what you feel is best for you. Me, I'm drawing the line. I'm saying, nope, I'm good. I'm good. Now we're going to have the moon at 18 degrees this day too. So this is definitely a day that we could hear, we could see a lot come out within the military, within those that are in control, secrets, maybe things that have been hidden, maybe even, I don't know why I'm thinking cancer, but there could even be more talk about the turbo cancers that have been caused with these, okay? There's definitely going to be shots fired, and this can be with the words, with the things that people come out and say. Now, keep in mind, we're also in the middle of all of the testimony that's going on with the whole Jeffrey Epstein situation. There's people that are going to be indicted. There's RICO charges that's going to be coming along. And we could see a lot of these things start unfolding during this time too. With divine karmic retribution, those that are not truly fully living in the light, those that are not truly living within integrity, the karma is going to be delivered. It will be. Now, Lilith is still retrograde at 6 degrees. We still have Mars at 10 degrees. Mercury, the fastest moving planet, is going to move out of the square fairly quick with Pluto. I'm telling you, traveling by plane, traveling by car, traveling by bus, traveling by train, any type of travel, motorcycle, truck, you name it, okay? Be mindful. Just be mindful. Now, the moon will square Kronos and then immediately go to conjunct Eris and Chiron and start squaring Jupiter, okay? So when this square happens, emotions are going to be extremely heightened. Avoid conflict at all costs. Avoid being in large crowds at all costs, okay? Just avoid it. Full moons are all about releasing. Full moons are all about letting go. But they can also make people a little crazy. Okay, so just be mindful. Listen to your intuition. Listen to your gut. Listen to Venus, okay? But we're going to have a lot of this 22 and 18 degrees. So pay attention. Jupiter will be in a sextile with Venus. So this is going to be great for your intuition. Jupiter is going to be able to expand those psychic gifts. Venus is going to be able to expand and work with Jupiter to really tap into what's being seen and said beyond what you can physically see and hear. Okay? So the veil, they're going to be working well together for you to be able to truly lean into that of what's coming up to the surface. Okay, on October 8th, we're going to quickly have Venus move out of that 22-degree point, which is really, really, really good. Okay. Mercury is now, and it's going to be in an exact sextile with Jupiter. So your intuition is going to be on point. Listen to your gut. Keep taking care of your physical needs, your health, what's working for you, listening to your intuition, growing your clairs, really focus on this. The next 2 weeks is best to just go within and focus on self, okay, because it's going to be the best to navigate this energy, truly. Okay, now we're going to have Mercury squaring Pluto, and it's going to start working its way out of that square, and it's going to be within a 1-degree orb. And as you can see, Lilith is moving back to conjunct with Mercury and will also square Pluto. Mars is still at that 10-degree point, and the sun is working into that square with Kronos. So we could see, we could still potentially see a lot happen on the water, even with the new ships that's sailing. And even if we go back to the 7th, when that Mercury square Pluto being exact, and the moon being in Aries, squaring Jupiter, crossing over Eris and Chiron, like there could be something that's brought up with that second group of ships that are now on their way to Gaza to deliver aid. Um, we could even potentially hear of things that transpired with the first group. So the moon's now going to be in Taurus, and will square white moon Selena, will square Pluto, will oppose Mercury. So there is going to be another fixed T-square. So there could be towers that are brought up. You want to make sure that when you travel on this day, you call in protection until Mercury gets into better aspects, okay? Listen to your intuition, listen to your gut. You've got Jupiter and Venus and a great sextile. So it's there, it's to support you. Stay out of your head. Okay, stay grounded into your body, stay grounded into the now moment. Listen to your intuition. And we still have Jupiter in that cardinal T-square as well. Okay, and that's going to become more exact. Now, on October 9th, we're going to have the moon trine the north node sextile, I'm sorry, trine the south node sextile the north node. And it will be at that infamous 18 degrees. Now, we're not going to have the 22 degrees here. However, we will still have that 18-degree point. While the moon is in Taurus, while it's in an earth sign, we could potentially see an upkick of earthquakes. We could potentially see an upkick in tornado. I'm sorry, not tornado. Volcano activity. Lilith is now going to be at 3 degrees and working into that square with Pluto. And as you can see, Mercury's moving fairly fast, almost out of that square with Pluto. We're still going to be able to feel it. So when you travel, please call in protection, okay? Mars is now going to be at that 11-degree point, and the sun is going to be within 9 degrees of conjuncting Zeus and opposing Chiron and Eris. Venus is now going to be at 24 degrees and within a 3-degree orb of Saturn, of opposing Saturn. Now, on the 9th, we're going to have Uranus retrograde back to 0 degrees of Gemini. Now, anytime there is a planet at that 0-degree point, there's typically a lot of stuff that happens. So we could have a lot of breaking news that day. We could get the whiplash hardcore. If y'all remember, as soon as Uranus went into Gemini, way back the early parts of the summer, it felt like we were getting whiplash with everything. Okay, so we could see a little bit more of that show up. Now, I do want to add that Mars is going to be working into its conjunction with Poseidon and will start trining the North Node, Kronos, and then eventually start trining Jupiter. Jupiter is going to work into a tighter trine with Saturn as well. So there's a lot of there's a lot of energy in water and fire. Okay. So we only have Venus and the moon in Earth. We got Uranus, Pluto, the sun, and Zeus in air. Everything else is water and fire. Okay. So water and fire can go great together. However, it makes steam, right? Water can put fire out. So we don't fight fire with fire. We fight fire with water. That's the reason why your emotions are going to be a critical part of the next 2 weeks. Now, the sun is going to be in an exact square with Kronos. Keep in mind, this is where Mars retrograded back and set for a really long time, trining Saturn and Poseidon. So there could be something that comes up within the justice system connected to maybe even some things that's been done on the water. There could be something that's brought up about Venezuela because there's been a lot of activity there. There's also been a lot of activity with all the flotillas, am I even saying that correctly? All the ships that have been trying to get aid to Gaza that keeps getting intercepted. We could see even more people, okay, even the military step in. Maybe not our military, but other countries' militaries. Now, on October 10th, we're going to have the sun at 17 degrees. Lilith is going to be at that 0 degrees of Scorpio, still in that exact square with Pluto. We're officially going to have Mercury at that 5-degree point, working out of that square with Pluto. The moon is going to then conjunct Uranus, trine Pluto, and then start working into squaring the nodes, okay? We still have Jupiter in that cardinal T-square with Zeus, and as you can see, now the sun is going to be coming out of that T-square or out of that square with Kronos. Venus is now within a 2-degree orb of that opposition with Saturn. So I feel as that Venus and Saturn opposition starts getting a little bit tighter, we could start seeing some things really happening with our money. We could see a lot of changes with that. Now we're also going to have Mars starting to trine Chris and Kronos and starting to conjunct Poseidon. Now, on this day, the nodes are going to move to 17 degrees at 1712. The moon will conjunct Uranus and oppose Juno. And we still have Venus in a sextile with Saturn or with Jupiter. So as the sun gets a little bit closer to conjuncting Zeus, Venus is going to oppose Saturn. And that's the reason why we are seeing them try to roll out the digital IDs. However, the collective is like, yeah, no, we're not doing this. We're not doing this at all. Okay. Now, with Venus, there could be things from the past coming back around. And even after its conversation with the South Node and opposing Saturn, I do feel that we're going to have karmic rewards coming back around. Or it could even be the opposite. We're going to have karma dealt, okay? And all of this truly depends on the seeds that you have been planting, on the things that you have been doing. Now, October 11th is the day that I was getting messages about, and I did make the video, and that is the day that Venus is going to be opposing Saturn. And when I saw that, to be exact, that was going to be the day I was like, holy smokes. Because at this point, Lilith is now going to be at that 28 degrees of Libra. The sun is going to be at 18 degrees of Libra. We're going to have more of that 18 degrees. Okay, the moon is going to be in a trine with the sun. We do have the nodes at 17 degrees, so that's good. Mars is going to be starting its conjunction with Poseidon. When that conjunction happens and it trines Kronos, which will be a little bit later, a little bit closer to the end of this cycle, I do feel we're going to see a lot happen on the water. Mercury is officially out of that square. It's within a 5-degree orb, so that's going to start feeling better. Just please, okay? And just think, 2 days after this is when Mercury is going to go into shadow, the 13th. No. I'm telling you incorrect. On the 13th, Pluto will station direct, and then the 21st is when, so 10 days after this, Mercury will start its shadow period. Okay. We're going to have a retrograde in Scorpio, which can be an intense retrograde. I'm hoping that we can get through this Scorpio season and there not be a mass extinction event. And this is not to push fear at all. And I deeply believe that the groundwork has already been laid. And this Scorpio season, because Scorpio does rule death, I feel we could see a lot of people cross over. Now, Saturn being at 26 degrees is only within a 3-degree orb of Jupiter. So they're now going to start trining and working harmoniously together. Are you living in integrity? Are you listening to your intuition? Are you following the direction that you're meant to be going in? Are you truly doing the work that you're here to do? Okay. The moon, I think I've already touched on that. The moon's going to square the nodes. So Saturn will move to 26 degrees at 6:56 a.m. And then they're going to start opposing each other. Okay, on October 12th, the moon will ingress into Cancer. And shortly after it ingresses into Cancer, is going to trine Mercury. Now, listen, guys, be mindful of your thoughts with Mercury in Scorpio. Mercury in Scorpio can become very, very, very obsessive. You know, there could be a lot of anger that's brought up to the surface, specifically as Mercury and Mars get closer to their conjunction. There could be a lot of road rage. There could be a lot of anger. There could be a lot of aggression. Okay. So Venus will now be at 28 degrees of Virgo and within a 2-degree orb of that opposition with Saturn. So we're working out of that fairly quickly. Chronos is going to be in a sextile with the South Node and in a trine with the North Node. So there's going to be a lot of karma that's dealt with Chronos, but also with Saturn too. So be sure to listen to your intuition. On this day, we're going to have Lilith conjunct Zeus and is going to be opposing Eris and Chiron. So we could hear even more connected to those infamous Jeffrey Epstein files. We could hear even more connected to the wounded warrior, aka the military, the wounded masculine. We could hear even more connected to crimes against humanity, specifically children. So we're now going to have Juno at 3 degrees, still in a 3-degree orb of that trine with Neptune. Now, Neptune in Aries has truly been bringing out this spiritual warfare, okay? Are you seeing things clearly, or are your emotions being manipulated to push an agenda? I can promise you we're not being told the truth when it comes to the reason why the wars are being fought, the reason why they won't agree to peace. And, you know, like I shared with the peace stealer earlier tonight a screenshot of what the insider paper had shared, and it had said that, you know, Trump was very upset with Bibi and was like, you know, you're just not happy with anything. And then the next thing that was reported was Marco Rubio was like, you know, Bibi's got to stop bombing everybody in Gaza so we can get the hostages out. And I feel like we're being shown the truth when it comes to situations like that. Like, Does he really want peace, or does he want to continue pushing this spiritual agenda to fight a spiritual war? I mean, that's exactly what's being done as far as the Charlie Kirk assassination. They are truly trying to use his name and his legacy to sign people up to fight a spiritual war. First off, what God are you worshiping? Because you cannot be a Christian and support war. You cannot be pro-life and support the elimination of women and children, period. So there's a lot of hypocrites within Christianity because they've been conditioned to be okay with war and to hate a race because the Bibles were changed in 1906. So, with that being said, I have said this for well over a year and a half. If you are a Christian and you are specifically a male, your job is to protect the weakest link. And if you're turning a blind eye and wishing death upon women and children that are innocent, that have no way to defend themselves, you have failed your spiritual test. You have bought into the illusion that's being sold for the spiritual war. You are now fighting for Lucifer, not the Most High. So we're going to have Mars and Mercury a little bit closer to their conjunction, guys. I'm pretty sure I already said this because they're going to be squaring Kronos and conjunct Poseidon as they get a little bit closer. There could be a lot of arguments. There could be a lot of heated arguments. There could be a lot of fights. There could be a lot of car wrecks. There could be a lot of pew pew injuries to the head, injuries to the neck. Yeah. And the sun is actually working into its square with Jupiter. They're within a 4-degree orb, and that's going to get a little bit tighter over the next few days. On October 13th, we're going to have Lilith, where's she at? We're going to have Lilith station direct, and she's going to station direct at 26 degrees of Libra, conjunct Zeus, opposing Chiron and Aries. This could potentially be a very big day within the justice system, but also with things that are released with the wounded warrior, aka the military. We're going to have Venus now ingress into Libra. This is going to take place at 17:19 Eastern time zone. Check your time zone to be able to see what time that will be, depending on where you're located. And Venus is going to oppose Neptune. So this could bring up some, I almost feel like, on this day, we could potentially see some things uncovered with what they're doing with the money, aka, the Federal Reserve, um, gold, different things like that. But with this opposition to Neptune, like to me, Venus opposing Neptune is almost like, yeah, but not all things that are shiny are gold. Um, and for whatever reason, I'm truly thinking about Marjorie Green Taylor. There could be something that's brought up about her or even the women that have been given testimony in the Senate hearings as far as Jeffrey Epstein is concerned. Pluto is going to station direct at 22:53 p.m. So we're going to have Lilith station direct, we're going to have Pluto station direct, and we're going to have Venus ingress into Chiron. And the sun is going to be squaring Jupiter and also squaring the moon. So I feel like this day there could be a lot shaken up, okay? There could be a lot shaken up. The moon's going to be trining Saturn. There could be a lot revealed as far as things that's been hidden behind the scenes. Mars is going to be now at 14 degrees, getting ready to conjunct Poseidon and start squaring Kronos. Mercury is following suit right behind. And so you got to think the sun is going to conjunct Zeus and be close to Lilith at the same time, all opposing Chiron and Eris. So I know a lot of people, like there's a lot of fighting that's going on within our justice system, whether it's the Senate, Congress, whether it's governors and the president. Like you can literally see the fighting, the civil war taking place. We could even see even more of our National Guard deployed. Mhm. Especially if people are not able to keep their emotions in check. Like if people are running around acting crazy, they're going to deploy them, truly. Okay. So the 13th is going to be a big day. The 11th is going to be a huge day. I feel like we could see something major on the 11th. I hope I'm wrong. I hope it's not the cell phones. But I did find it quite interesting that I was getting that date, went back to that, and then looked at the astrology and I'm like, oh, makes sense. So on October 14th, Venus is going to be in a grand air trine. Now, she's also going to be in that air trine on the 13th as well. So pay attention to your thoughts. Pay attention to the conversations that you're having. Pay attention to the story that you're telling yourself. Now, Venus is going to be extremely happy being in Venus, or being in Libra. Venus is coming home. And she's going to be in an air trine with Pluto that is now direct at 122. And then we still have Uranus retrograde at 0 degrees of Gemini, which Uranus is going to be stationing direct a little bit later. The moon is now going to be in Leo. So those on the stage, those in the limelight, those in the spotlight, um, those that are very well known. How about that? And it doesn't have to be on a star level. Like this could be somebody well known in your community. This could be somebody well known in your church. This could be somebody well known in your town, your city, or even your state. Like this doesn't have to be on a global scale well known. Um, there could be some things that are brought up with people in the spotlight, people in the limelight, specifically as we go through and Saturn continues its retrograde in Pisces. As I have prepared you guys, we're going to see the shadow aspects of those that have been in the limelight, specifically in the church, brought to light. We're already seeing that as far as the Neptune and Aries wanting to fight spiritual wars. We've already seen that with some of the pastors, some of the people that have started churches being arrested for child SA. Now, Mars is going to be conjunct Poseidon within a 1 degree orb. And as you can see, Mercury's tagging along right behind. And Mars is in a square with Chris, and I'm sorry, in a trine. So they're going to be trining Kronos exactly. Keep an eye on the water because Kronos is where Mars was last summer when we went through that Mars retrograde all the way up into the fall and December. Remember, New Year's Eve was when Mars come out of Cancer, moved into Leo and opposed Pluto. Okay. So we could potentially see even more because Mars is now going to start activating that spot, going to be in a trine. There could be some water, something that breaks out on the water, the ships, that flotilla. I'm not real sure when it's going to be showing up, but there could be something that happens with warships on the water, specifically as Mars gets closer to Poseidon. You know, keep in mind, we have a submarine named Poseidon, and Russia has a submarine named Poseidon. The Russia submarine is, that is Poseidon, is a tsunami sub. So the sun is going to start at 21 degrees in the day off at 22 degrees and is going to be starting to become more exact in that square with Jupiter. The moon is going to be trining Neptune and Juno. So it is a good time to truly tap into what excites you in relationships. Just be mindful of the lower vibration of the energy at hand and try not to get too caught up in emotions. You don't want to be out here fighting with everybody. Mercury in Scorpio wants to fight, wants to have arguments, can be very obsessive. And some people, once they start fighting with people, like they're obsessive and they just can't let go until their point is across. We want to let go of that. Okay. The moon is going to square Pluto. I'm sorry, the moon is going to oppose Pluto. So this is why I'm saying, you know, there could be some things brought to light as far as people that are in the limelight. There's already, like, we're going to be deep into some of these Senate hearings specifically connected to the Epstein files. There's a lot of people that have been called back to testify. I mean, there's presidents, there's people that were over certain three-letter agencies, people that were over, you know, parts of handling the cases. So we could get some shocking news. There could be some secrets that are actually revealed during this opposition. Lilith is now direct conjunct Zeus, opposing Aries and Chiron. So there's a lot of energy in the justice system opposing war, truly, because Chiron's there. It's the wounded masculine. Like, is this really? And a lot of that opposition has to do with sending money to keep funding those wars. We could see a lot brought up here. On the 15th, we're going to have the sun at that infamous 22 degrees. The moon is going to be at 18 degrees and is going to start trining Chiron and Eris not long after it hits that 18-degree point. And this is the day that Mars and Poseidon are going to be exactly conjunct in an exact trine with Kronos and the North Node. This is the day that I was talking about, that something could happen on the water with ships, with war breaking out, with something truly happening. Because now Mercury is only within a 3-degree orb of that opposition. We've got the sun at 22 degrees. I definitely do feel that there will be shots fired, not necessarily just with words, but pew pews. Okay, there could be something that happens on the water. Juno is now going to be at 4 degrees. working more into that trine with White Moon Selena, really working out of that trine with Neptune. Now, the moon is going to square Mars and Poseidon. So before the moon moves to that 18-degree point, we're going to have that square. This is when I feel we could see a lot. Keep an eye on the water. Keep an eye on what's going on with the military, because I do feel we're going to have, it's going to happen. Something's going to happen. And I can't pinpoint if it's going to be connected to the flotillas. You know, at this point, we're a weekend. It took them a while to sail where they did last time. So it's going to take a little bit for the next fleet to get there. However, you know, this could be with our Poseidon, with Russia's Poseidon. Something major could potentially happen. Now, Jupiter is going to be at 24 degrees. As you can see here, Jupiter moved to 24 degrees at 16:39 p.m. Eastern Time Zone and is an exact square with Chiron. Now that square actually become exact. Chiron moved to 24 degrees at 16:30 on the 14th. I didn't mention that. So the day before, Chiron moved to 24 degrees at 16:30. And on the 15th, Jupiter moved to 24 degrees at 16:39. So almost exactly 24 hours later. It's only a 9 minutes difference of being 24 hours. They're going to be in an exact square. So this is where we're going to start seeing those that are truly doing the work, those that are able to master and alchemize energy, those that are able to alchemize and master their wounds. Okay. To me, Chiron and Aries is, you know, feeling like everybody can see every single wound that you have. With it squaring in Jupiter, it's going to feel very triggered. Okay. This is a great opportunity to really dig deep, to really see what areas. Let those triggers be a navigational tool of what you need to work on. There could be accidents on this day, specifically with that hard square. Chiron, I'm sorry, Kronos, trine Mars. This, you know, the sun at 22 degrees. This is one of those days that fucking shit could just truly break loose. Really. So, whatever you got to do. Whatever you got to do to be able to control your emotions. Try not to be obsessed. Again, Mercury and Scorpio can become very obsessive, specifically when you're angry, right? It's like, no, 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 I got to, I got to, I got to, I got to prove my point. I got to get my point across. And you've got, like, this is just not the day. Okay. Venus is now going to be out of that opposition with Neptune, so that's good. Now, I did talk about the moon squaring Poseidon and Mars. It'll square Mercury first and then square them. Okay. So on October 16th, we're going to have the moon ingress into 0 degrees of Virgo. We're now officially going to have the sun out of that 22-degree point. Thank goodness. Venus is now working out of her opposition with Neptune. We're going to have Mars and Poseidon still conjunct at 16 degrees in an exact trine with Kronos. And as you can see, Mercury is within a 2-degree orb of being in that stellium. Jupiter is still squaring Chiron. So this is a great time to see the areas that you need to focus on as far as your healing is concerned. This is a great time to really take note of what's working, what's not working, make a list, get a plan, put some action together, make note of what is truly working for you, what's working for my relationships. Is this balanced? Is this healthy? If it's not, what do I need to let go of? What are my triggers? What's going on there? This is also still another day that there could be wounds that are brought up. This right here makes me nervous, specifically here, because that's pretty close to, and Saturn's within a 10-degree orb of where it was at during its retrograde last year, where it trine Mars here. So Mars is kind of picking up in that trine. So Lilith is now going to be in 2 degrees Scorpio, now squaring Pluto again. So all this energy here, squaring here, this and this. People are going to be ready to fight. Collectively, people are going to be in that energy. So I would avoid large crowds over the next 2 weeks. I know I've said this. I'll say it again. Okay. Venus is now working out of her trine with Pluto and Uranus. Keep an eye on what you're saying. Keep an eye on your thoughts. Keep an eye on emotions. The more grounded and stable and at peace you can be, the easier the next 2 weeks is going to be. On October 17th, we're going to have the moon conjunct the south node. So this is another one of those days that the past could be coming back around. Whether it be connected to your health, your money, what you do, work, your diet. We're going to have the sun oppose Chiron at exactly 1933 Eastern time zone. And it's going to be in a T-square with Jupiter. So the sun at 24 degrees in an exact opposition with Chiron in a T-square with Jupiter. Now, this is cardinal energy. This is all about taking action. What works, what doesn't work, what actions do you need to take? This can almost feel like a major trigger. Are my relationships balanced? Is everything that I'm doing for myself balanced? Is there a balance give and take? Am I too absorbed in myself? Am I too wrapped up in my own triggers? Am I listening to my intuition and allowing for that to guide me? Just remember, cardinal squares are all about initiating change. What's working? What's not working? What needs to be adjusted? Okay. You want to look in your chart to see where this is happening for you. Let's see. We're now going to have Venus at 5 degrees of Libra, which is good. Yay. Mercury is going to be exactly conjunct Poseidon, and they are going to be conjunct Mars in a trine with Kronos. So this energy on the water and in an exact trine with the North Node, okay, it's not really easing up until Mars gets out of Scorpio. Now, Lilith is at 7 degrees and is in a square with White Moon Selena. It's not good to burn everything. Okay. You got to be able to see your triggers. You got to be able to go through, not become obsessive with proving your point, to know when to let things go, to know when to establish boundaries. This is going to be a huge test of boundaries, how much work you've done, how much work you've done on your healing journey. Now, on the 18th, we're going to have the sun conjunct Zeus at exactly 25 degrees, and we'll be in that opposition with Aries and working out of that opposition with Chiron. Now, Chiron and Jupiter are still in a square. You want to look and see where this is going to be taking place in your chart. At 10:10. And okay, and this sun opposing Eris is going to take place. I thought this was pretty cool at 3:33 a.m. So I do feel that this is a reminder that no matter how dark it may look, no matter how scary it may look outside, no matter how uncertainty it may feel, okay, ascended masters and the angels are with us. The moon will hit 22 degrees and it will oppose Saturn on this day. It's already had its conversation with the South Node, anything from the past coming back around. And Mars will move at 18 degrees at 10:10 a.m. We'll be in an exact trine with the North Node and still in a trine with Kronos and working into that grand water trine with Saturn and Jupiter. And as you can see, Jupiter and Saturn are within a 2-degree orb, and Mars is going to be joining them fairly soon. Now, this is what the chart looks like when Mars moves to 18 degrees. When this happens, we're going to have the sun or at the moon at 22 degrees and starting its opposition with Saturn. So this is one of those days that we could see even more. Like, the energy is not going to be easy over the next 2 weeks. It's just not. Mercury will be at 16 degrees. Lilith is speeding right back up to catch up with Mercury. So Mercury is going to be an exact trine with Kronos. There's going to be, keep an eye on the water, guys. Really. There could even be an uptick in earthquakes. Volcanoes. On October 19th, Mars is going to conjunct Mercury at 18 degrees. So this is going to be a day that when you travel, please be careful. There could be a lot of car wrecks. There could be a lot of accidents. There could be a lot of road rage. There could be a lot of fighting, a lot of arguing. There could be a lot of, okay. They're going to be trining the North Node, but also trining Kronos. The moon is going to be in a grand air trine with Uranus and Pluto, and then will conjunct Venus. So I do feel when the moon conjuncts Venus, we'll get some news. It'll also oppose Neptune. That opposition right there can bring arguments, can not being able to see things clearly. You know, the conversations, the fights could be a little distorted. But I do feel that we'll get some good news when the moon conjuncts Venus. That could feel really good. This right here is my concern, because it could be car wrecks, it could be accidents, it could be pew pew, it could be knives, it could be road rage, all those things. The sun is now officially working out of its opposition with Chiron and Aries, working out of that square with Jupiter. But as you can see, Jupiter and Zeus, Chiron and Aries, they're still in their T-square. So this is going to initiate change. This is going to bring change. Just remember, we only have to get pushes for change when we're not going in the right direction, when we're not going in the direction that we're supposed to be going in. So keep that in mind, okay? All right, this is my last day. So on October 20th, and this is going to be the last day of the full moon lunation cycle, because we're now going to start building up for the new moon. So we're going to have the moon at 14 degrees of Libra. We're going to have Venus at 8 degrees of Libra. We're also going to have the sun at 27 degrees of Libra. Now, this Libra new moon is going to take place at 28 degrees. So it's going to be within a 3-degree orb of Eris, but also a 4-degree orb of Chiron. And it's going to be within a 4-degree orb of squaring Jupiter. So this isn't going to be the best new moon that we're going to have. However, we're now out of the eclipse energy. So we're going to be able to start planting seeds. It's going to start easing up a little bit as far as being able to plant seeds and truly move forward once the sun starts to ingress into Scorpio, because then it's going to be out of that T-square and it's going to be out of that opposition. So we're going to have the new moon on the 21st, and that, let me get my calendar. That is on a Tuesday. So by Thursday, that square with Jupiter is going to ease up. So you're going to be able to start manifesting a little bit easier because the moon's going to be out of that opposition. Now we're still going to have that square with Zeus and Chiron and Eris. However, the sun's going to be out of it and start working its way into trining that. Now on the 20th, you're going to have Lilith in an exact trine with Kronos and the North Node, conjunct Poseidon. And then you're going to have Mercury and Mars at 19 degrees. So as you can see, Mercury and Mars are going to move together for a little bit. And then Mercury's going to start moving out. Again, this is another one of those days that if you travel, call in protection. This is a day that fighting, arguing, conflicts, actual fights, pew-pews, knives, okay, all those things could be extremely heightened. Now, on the Libra new moon, we're going to have Mercury start its pre-shadow period, okay? And that's going to take place for roughly 2 weeks, a little over 2 weeks, because that's going to happen on the 21st. And so 2.5 weeks later, we're going to have Mercury station retrograde at 6 degrees of Sagittarius. And then it's going to retrograde back to the later degrees of Scorpio. And then it will station direct at 20 degrees of Scorpio on the 29th of November. So we're going to have this Mercury retrograde during Thanksgiving, during the holidays. The past could be coming back around, specifically if you've got Mercury retrograding in any of your relationship houses. It's going to be retrograding in my 5th house and back into my 4th. Fun times. So are you guys ready for the next 2 weeks? This is going to be an intense lunation cycle. I'm not going to pretend like it's not. I'm not here to scare you guys. I'm not here to push fear. I want you all to be prepared. I want you to be ready for what's coming. This isn't anything to fear. This isn't anything to be afraid of. We're going to get through it. We really are. And sometimes these things have to happen in order for change to initiate. Sometimes these things have to happen in order for us to get back on track in the direction that we're meant to be going. So we won't have as much of the 22 and 18 degree energy now that the nodes are out of that. It's just a couple of months that the nodes are in those degrees. It's pretty intense, okay? And so on the 27th, the day, or the 22nd, the day after the Libra New Moon, the sun is going to enter Scorpio and Neptune will retrograde back into Pisces. Fun times. Oh, let's see. Oh, full moon in Libra, find balance. It's all about being able to balance your relationships versus your needs, okay? This is going to be more Libra energy. I love that the cards always mirror the energy. They always do. Keep your heart open. We're definitely going to be going through some heart chakra activations this Libra season. Unleash your kindest self. And this is solar plexus. I've been feeling that. I had to take my earpiece out because my solar plexus was kind of like cramping and I wasn't sure if it was like the energy that I was feeling from my earpiece. So that's why I had to take it out. And then underneath the deck, I get make time for self-love. Another Libra card. So I have 3 Libra cards. And then I get clear your mind and take inspired action. So this is all about finding balance within your relationships, finding balance and being able to show up for yourself within your relationships. You know, you've got to take care of you before you take care of everybody else. Keep your heart open, stay focused on your healing journey. You know, we need to utilize that Venus energy as much as we can in Virgo. Watch our words, keep an eye on our emotions. Emotions are going to be extremely heightened. It's all that energy and water. On the plus side, your intuition is going to be extremely heightened because water is very psychic. So you could be going through and experiencing new gifts, waking, like you could be awakening to a different player, a different gift. I had a dream about an airplane crash. And I woke up and was like, it's so weird that I had a dream about an airplane crash. And I left a comment on my group and I told a friend of mine about the dream. I was like, this is just so weird. And then I see on the news that there was a plane crash and there was no injuries. Well, in my dream, there was a plane crash with no injuries. And I was like, well, no wonder. I have always had prophetic dreams like that, but it never been that specific on a collective scale and it be like at that moment. So when I tell you all this water, all the planets in water, there is a lot psychic gifts that are awakening. Okay, we've really got to focus on changing how you're looking at things. And this could be connected to what you're healing. This could be connected to what you're trying to manifest. This could be connected to you stepping into your divine role, your divine leadership role. Okay. Because I get the Four of Cups. The Four of Cups is all about feeling like it's just not attainable, feeling like I'm just not able to do it, feeling like there's just no way. Okay. And then I get the Three of Wands with the Hermit. Okay. The Hermit's all about being the spiritual guru. The Hermit's all about being the spiritual leader, but it's also about healing and truly going within. So you're healing whatever aspect it is, if you feeling like something's just not possible, like it's just not attainable, you're just not able to do it, okay? You have to make the choice. It's like I got my choice card, right? It's all about options, choices. You've got to make the choice to tap into your emotions, to be able to have grounded, healed emotions, right? Because the King of Cups is the master of his emotions. Now, I love that the King of Cups and the Queen of Cups is here together, okay? The King of Cups is not going to get into this lower vibrational energy of the Knight of Wands. The Knight of Wands can be the player. The Knight of Wands is also the warrior, ready to go into combat, ready to fight. The King of Cups makes the choice to be balanced and emotionally stable and in control. Okay. And it does feel like over the next 2 weeks, these are the lessons, these are the things that we're mastering, these are the things that we're truly having to go within and making the choice to go within to truly become a master of our own emotions. I've said this before and I'll say this again. Nobody has power over you. Nobody has power over you. Nobody can make you do, say, be anything. And if anybody is triggering you to be angry, aggressive, you're giving your power away. Okay. And it's like once you learn the lesson, the cycle's complete. Yay! You get to upgrade, you get to move forward, you get to move on to the next level. Okay. And get the Two of Pentacles with the Queen of Cups. So it is almost like you're trading one thing for another. Okay. And what I mean by that is you're trading this for this. So much better energy, right? This is sulking and I just can't do it. This is almost like kind of crybaby energy. It's not really my crybaby card, but it's, his arms are crossed and he's pouting and he's looking down. And he's like, yeah, but it's there. I just can't get it. And I got to move this a little bit. And there's all kinds of cups. You can get those cups, okay? So there is some juggling. There is some redirection. There is some changing as far as your thoughts, your emotions. Now, there could also be, for those of you that are single, there could be divine counterparts coming in. Maybe not right now in this moment. Just be mindful that this is not a player, okay? Because the Knight of Wands is the player. He likes to play with everybody. I've got Virgo, I got Sag, all of the fixed signs, and all of the water signs and Taurus, okay? Now, divine counterparts. The Hierophant is the counterpart to the High Priestess, okay? The King of Cups is the counterpart to the Queen of Cups. So we have two divine counterpart energies showing up. This feels like you're going to be tested. And there could be a choice between people. One could be a player and one can be your divine counterpart. Somebody that is going to help you on your spiritual journey. Somebody that's going to truly fill your cup up. But you want to be mindful. You want to pay attention. You want to listen to your intuition. Does this feel emotionally grounded? Does this feel emotionally stable? You know, I never want to be in a household where a man is not able to control his emotions. I've lived that life. Being spit on, being cussed, being told I was nobody, being abused, having to cover black eyes. I've lived that life. I need something that is emotionally stable and grounded. So, what is it that you're looking for? When this comes through, are you going to be able to see what it is? Are you going to be able to tell if this is healing, if this is stable, or are they going to be aggressive and really combative? Like, this is a combative card, but it's also the playboy. The Knight of Wands is the player. They like it all. With the next 2 weeks, stay in your heart. Allow for the heart chakra activations to take place. Allow for the solar plexus activations to take place. Make time for self-love. Keep your heart open. This Mercury retrograde, and it's cuffing season. So, of course, like, it's already in the air for relationships to start coming together. And listen to your intuition when you're guided to go somewhere. You just never know when it's going to happen. And keep your heart open. Truly. All right. I love you guys. Happy Aquarius. I'm sorry, not Aquarius. Happy Aries Full Moon Lunation cycle. Drop a comment below. Let me know how you're feeling. Let me know what you think. Feels good to be back. I know I had to skip the last one. Whew. That one hit me pretty hard. But anyway, I love you all. I will be holding my Aries Full Moon Healing Circle on the 6th. You can find the link to join below. And I'd love to have you there. I'll see y'all soon. Also, let me know what you think about what all I've been doing with my YouTube. I've been making a lot of changes. Let me know. Drop a comment below. I love you all. I'll see you soon. Bye.